Hello guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Greg and this is our daily Everton update. First thing to cover today is our interest in Alfredo Morelos, 26-year-old, just left Rangers. Also getting interest from Sevilla, Nottingham Forest, Fenerbahce. 78 in 178 for Rangers, goals-wise that is. 11 in 30 this season with only one red card. That's the big question that's always hanging over his head, is his attitude. Been accused by Rangers fans of both laziness and a bad temper. You know, red cards and silly red cards always been part of his game. So the question is, the goals he could get, he's been known to get, do they offset the attitude and you know, bad temper and laziness? Are they really the ingredients you want to throw into a vat of already quite unstable, an already quite unstable team? You know, those kinds of attitudes can be contagious, especially with a younger squad. So it depends if they are a side effect of the goals and you know what the balancing act is there. According to the Everton fans, in a poll we put out on our Twitter, 52% don't think so. They say they wouldn't want Morelos at the club, and only 30% do. He doesn't really feel like a Dyche player, unless Dyche is the kind of man to get a hand on his shoulder and point him in the right direction. Another striker we've been constantly linked with, Gyökeres, Coventry. Latest being that we're willing to pay 16 million for him, but Coventry are holding out for a figure that's a more round 20. They might well get this from a club that's not us. Wolves, Brentford, both been monitoring him, both showing interest, and may have more financial wiggle room to throw their weight around and bring him in. Of course, great championship campaign, got them to the playoffs after a bad campaign with Swansea before that, but he's definitely more the kind of striker that I think would fit us culturally than Morelos, but again, Morelos would be a free agent, probably demand a little bit more on the wage side though. Another player we're linked with, the links are starting to come thick and fast, is Jack Harrison from Leeds. Of course, Leeds relegated, Leeds having to then shed a few players to survive. A lot of really bad relegation contract clauses in their squad as well, so they're going to struggle, I think. You got Newcastle, Spurs and West Ham also looking at Harrison though. He's a left winger. Ideally we want a right winger, so in terms of the profile we need, and you know, these players are just links, but so far it seems to be a little all over the place. Right winger we need, but left winger, and a player you could really see flourish under Sean Dyche. Really hard working, you know, a workhorse. I think he would be a good system player for us. You have got the Leeds effect though, that a lot of those Leeds players look worse outside of the Leeds team, and I'm talking the Leeds players who came up with Bielsa, not the current crop who are semi-Americanised Jesse Marsch players. I'm talking when Bielsa got that team up, he built something that was built on that kind of siege mentality of and you know, that they were the sum of the parts was better than the individual pieces. So once you take people out of that, it becomes a little bit more confusing, and it's why the centre started to crumble a bit when Bielsa left. You don't really know what those individuals are like in solace outside the system. It's why Leeds had a bad season last season. It's why those players didn't seem to perform to the potential they showed under Bielsa. So you'd have to see what he was like outside that system. I think he'd be a good Dyche player. No kind of price tags being thrown around yet, so that would also be something to look at. Not an explicit link this season, but Maitland-Niles, who has been on our radar before and very nearly joined us a couple of seasons back before he actually went to Southampton. He's now a free agent, been let go by Arsenal. Then they won't be renewing his contract. People seem quite keen at the idea of bringing him in. 64% on a poll we put out on Twitter would be interested. Only 21% would be not keen to have him in. Of course, versatile player. He would fill in the cover we need at fullback, and would also be able to play in midfield, especially with AFCON starting. And you know, and the Coré who'd be away, maybe with Mali if he's not retired from international duty, but certainly Idrissa Gueye with Senegal. So he could be a good option there as well for when we're thin on the ground in all places. You know, we need these kind of versatile players that can play multiple positions, and actually with some experience in playing the positions. Tom Cannon news. After a long and successful spell at Preston North End, he got 8 in 21. Sean Dyche is going to make a decision regarding, is he ready for a start in the Prem or life on the bench, or is it time for him to have another loan? Maybe Preston have inquired about having him back. I know Swansea are also looking potentially at bringing him in, and I think we're at a bit of an intersection now where we've got, of course, Calvert-Lewin and Maupay hopefully for not too much longer, but then we've also got a crop of sort of younger players who are at the juncture where you have to decide on their future. I think Sims is at a crucial point where he either is a forward for us now, or we sell him. We look to sell. He's too old for another loan. Getting the same way with Dobbin, I think. Not the best loan with Derby. I saw him live last season at Adams Park, and he was fairly ineffectual. But again, decision needs to be made with him and Tom Cannon as well, who probably surprised people with how good he was on loan. So I think we've got a crop of players, and with them, it's maybe the situation of sell, keep, loan. So good game for you guys in the comments. Dobbin, Sims, and Tom Cannon, keep, loan, and sell. What would you do with those three players? But yeah, Sean Dyche will make a decision, and I think he'll really like Cannon as a player. Non-player, but next up we've got Kenwright news. Of course, we were given a 48-hour window in which we would hear, and I did this on Wednesday, and we were sort of waiting for the news to come in before recording, and 48 hours elapsed, of course, and there was absolutely no news. Typical of the club. We know, according to the Guardian Sport, that he's still apparently intending to step down. I don't know what's happened in the 48-hour period that stopped that decision being communicated to the fans. But there is a complication in the uncertainty, which is affecting two things. It's affecting the interim appointments because there's no understood direction of the club, and there is questions over the MSP sport capital investment, not questions so much as to whether it'll happen, but now a bit of a delay due to that uncertainty. So whatever the hold is, it's causing ripple effects, and once again the man, by his lack of communication and lack of judgment, is holding us back. Talking about a legacy of that, we've got news on the financial fair play charges. According to Paul Joyce, they are related to tax issues regarding a loan for the building of the new stadium, but the club is confident that those charges will be beaten. Am I confident? I don't know. The fact the club's confident actually makes me feel less confident. More news. Tom Davis, gave him a new contract, gave him an extension, whilst we let a few other players go. Looks like that was a decision to try and get some money from him, because he's a boyhood player. He's probably more susceptible to saying, yes, I will have a contract, and then I imagine that the deal was, if you sell me. So he's holding talks with the club, and it looks like his future will be elsewhere, and there are apparently rival clubs, I don't know who they are, that are interested in bringing him in. So look over that for the next few days. News on Tom Davis's possible locations, and he might be off. Lastly, a couple of more fixtures. We've got Wigan away on the 22nd and Sporting at Goodison on the 5th of August. That's the 22nd of July, by the way, for the Wigan game. So a lot of news today. A couple of things to talk about and ask about. First thing is, what do you think of the strikers? Would you be going for Gyökeres, or would you be going for Morelos? Where do you think our energy and time should be being put on that front? What do you think about Jack Harrison? Is that a link you'd be interested in? Do you think we should be renewing that interest in Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well? Tom Cannon, what would you do with him? What would you do with Sims? What would you do with Dobbin? What do you think the fate of Kenwright will be, and do you think we'll ever actually know, or maybe one day we'll just find out he's gone, or still there hanging over us, sort of emperor-style influence at the club? And will you be sad to see Tom Davis go, and where can you see him going? Let me know all of that and more, and we will see you tomorrow for some more Everton news.